The afternoon sun was softer now, dipping toward the endless horizon with a slow, deliberate grace. The desert was beginning its daily transformation, from fiery furnace to cool expanse of gold. Matthew held the cracked jar carefully against his chest as he followed Abba Elias along a narrow path carved between two towering cliffs. "Where are we going?" Matthew asked. "To the well," Elias replied. "A place where many truths are found." Matthew raised an eyebrow. "A well, out here? In the middle of nothing?" Elias gave a small smile. "The desert appears empty only to those who look with hurried eyes. For the patient, it is full." They walked in companionable silence, their sandals pressing soft patterns into the sand. The cliffs narrowed until they formed a natural corridor, like a sacred passage leading into the heart of the earth. The air grew cooler as shadows stretched along the stone. Matthew broke the silence. "Why a well?" Elias answered without slowing his pace. "Because water reveals what thirst hides." Matthew frowned. "I don't understand." "You will," the monk said gently. "But first, you must walk." The path suddenly widened into a small valley, a circular hollow surrounded by stone walls shaped by centuries of wind. At its center stood a single ancient well, its stones worn smooth by countless hands. A faded rope hung from a wooden crossbeam, and a simple clay bucket rested nearby. Matthew approached slowly, as if stepping into a sacred memory. Something about the place felt reverent, alive. "This well is over 1,000 years old," Elias said. "Monks, travelers, shepherds, they all came here seeking what they lacked." Matthew peered into the darkness below. He saw nothing at first, then faint reflections of light on water far beneath. "So there really is water," he murmured. "Always," Elias said. "Even when the land appears impossible." Matthew touched the rough stones. "But why bring me here?" Elias sat on a nearby rock. "Because your soul is thirsty, Matthew. And a thirsty soul cannot be healed until it admits its thirst." Matthew swallowed hard. The words felt as heavy as the desert stones around him. "What exactly am I thirsty for?" Elias tilted his head, watching him with gentle patience. "You tell me." Matthew stared at the well, its darkness deep and quiet. His reflection wavered faintly on the surface far below. "I'm thirsty for rest," he said finally. "Real rest. Not sleep. Not vacations. Not distractions. The kind of rest that fills you." Elias nodded, as though he had expected this. "I'm thirsty for peace," Matthew continued, voice trembling slightly. "The kind that doesn't vanish when life gets hard." Another nod. "And I think I'm thirsty for God," Matthew whispered. "But I don't know how to reach him anymore." Elias closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them with tenderness. "God is easier to reach than your next breath. But first, you must acknowledge the thirst that brought you here." The monk motioned for him to sit beside him. Matthew obeyed, still holding the cracked jar Yassine had given him. "Let me tell you something," Elias said. "In Scripture, wells are places of encounter. Hagar met God at a well. So did Rebecca, Rachel, and Moses. Even Jesus met the Samaritan woman at a well and spoke to her of living water." Matthew listened intently. "That woman," Elias continued, "came with an empty jar, just as you have. She wanted ordinary water, but Jesus offered her something deeper, water that restores, renews, and gives life." Matthew looked at the cracked jar in his hands. "Living water, for a cracked vessel?" "Yes," Elias said softly. "Because grace does not leak. It fills everything it touches. A breeze drifted through the valley, rustling Elias's robe. The monk stood and walked to the well, lifting the rope and lowering the clay bucket into the darkness. "You will draw the water," Elias said. "Not for drinking, but for understanding." Matthew stepped forward. He grasped the rope, feeling its rough fibers. Slowly, carefully, he pulled it up. At first, his muscles strained, the bucket was heavy. But then he found a rhythm, steady, persistent, patient. When the bucket finally emerged, sunlight shimmered in the clear water inside. "Pour some into your jar," Elias said. Matthew hesitated. The jar was cracked. It would not hold water. I can't," he said. "It will just leak." "Do it anyway." Matthew slowly dipped the bucket and poured a small stream of water into the jar. It filled briefly, but within seconds, droplets escaped through the crack, sliding down Matthew's hands. "It's leaking," he said quietly. "Yes," Elias replied. "Just like your spirit when you try to carry life without God." Matthew felt the truth pierce him. "You cannot hold peace," Elias said, "if you do not return to the well." Matthew stared at the last remaining droplets in the jar, each one shimmering like a tiny miracle. "You mean I have to come back again and again?" "Of course," Elias said with a gentle smile. "No one drinks from a well once. You must return daily, hourly, sometimes moment by moment. God's presence is not a one-time event but a constant returning." Matthew's eyes filled with warmth, not sadness this time, but recognition. "I've been living as if I only needed God when things fell apart. And now I see I need Him always." Elias placed his hand on Matthew's shoulder. A cracked jar becomes a blessing when it teaches a man to seek the well more often. Matthew felt his breath deepen. A strange peace settled in him, fragile but real. He looked at the well again. "Can I pray?" Elias nodded. "Yes. Pray with your own words. God listens to thirst." Matthew closed his eyes, holding the cracked jar lightly. "Lord," he whispered inwardly, "you know how empty I am. And how tired. And how lost. Fill me with your living water. Teach me to return to you again and again. I am thirsty for you. I always have been." When he opened his eyes, the desert seemed different, less harsh, more alive. The well glowed softly in the afternoon light. "Come," Elias said. "The day is ending. Let us return." Matthew followed, his heart lighter than when he arrived. The cracked jar dripped faintly with each step, leaving a tiny trail in the sand, a reminder of his journey, his thirst, and the well that waited for him.